my campaign for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional.
I don't know. I just don't know. Like, what did he not know before 2024? What was not known? Donald Trump had already grabbed women between the legs. Donald Trump had already incited a deadly insurrection. Tucker Carlson had already concluded that Donald Trump was a, quote, demonic force. So I don't buy it. I don't believe you, Tucker. But that was Tucker Carlson. For any suckers still watching him, apparently experiencing, or at least projecting, a brand new persona that embodies this regret and torment and self-loathing for helping Donald Trump 3 times. Tucker helped him 3 times. Trump has run 3 times. Tucker was there all the way. It is interesting, though, because a lot of people still watch him and listen to him, and other right-wing podcasters seem to follow him, people like Megyn Kelly. It's another thing that Trump has to grapple with. It's another symptom of the public displays of buyer's remorse that we are now seeing from key members of Trump's winning coalitions, and the waves of rebukes for Donald Trump as his MAGA base splinters and grapples with what is very much in the public behavior so erratic, large majorities of Americans find him temperamentally unsuited for the job he has, as well as Trump's failures to make good on his campaign promises, largely to keep America out of wars, or to release all the Epstein files, or to lower the price of anything. The list goes on and on. I'm going to bring in Media Matters for America President Angelo Carusone. Joining me at the table, political analyst Molly Jong-Fast. She's the host of Fast Politics and a New York Times contributing opinion writer. Tim is still here. Angelo, what do you think?
So I think you're right to pick up on something is off there. I think there probably is buyer's remorse, but I think the reasons are actually very unsettling and scary. And I think that there's sort of 2 things happening at the same time here. There are these things happening in the larger right-wing ecosystem that is sort of undermining Trump's political power. These sort of fault lines that are turning into full-blown cracks and fractures that are not going to repair. And that's going to be something that is going to plague Trump now for the foreseeable future. And then under the second layer to this is what is actually being said here. Because if you listen to the dialogue between Tucker and Buckley, the remorse that they're expressing is not that Trump is being unreasonable. It's that Trump is being weak. They go in and discuss how he didn't do enough to crack down on the riots after George Floyd. They say that was the first time that we knew something was maybe off because he wasn't aggressive enough. Or they attacked him for saying that he didn't exercise his power after the 2020 election to essentially overturn it and stay in power, that he was too weak to do it, or that he didn't defend the January 6th rioters enough. So their list of gripes and grievances sort of, this moment, this catalyst, because it is about the Iran war, but it's not. That's the catalyst that starts to get them to think, okay, here are all the things that he has not done enough of. This is our bloodlust. This is the story that they're telling. This is the direction that they're trying to bring Trump's base post-Trump. And that's the scary thing for all of us to come to terms with. To put it simply, they're basically mad that Trump is doing foreign wars as opposed to using all of his time, energy, and capital at home, grinding immigrants and political opponents and Democrats with his boots. That's what they're fundamentally mad about. And that's really different than some of these other fault lines like we've talked about in the past, the Brocast, the Manosphere, that probably really just did both. They wanted no new wars, and they didn't necessarily want full-blown fascism, the way that Tucker Carlson and Buckley are talking about. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind here, is that they're giving us a keyhole view for where they're trying to take things. And so we can take both things to be true. They have remorse, but they also have an agenda that is trying to steer the ship in a much scarier direction.
Well, I mean, speaking of the Manosphere, Tim Miller, Joe Rogan crawled back to the Oval Office and stood about as close as you could physically stand to Donald Trump seen every picture. He attended an announcement about regulations around psychedelic drugs and their treatment of depression and anxiety. Here's Jon Stewart's take on that.
Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please? I'll take it. I'll take whatever it takes.
Oh my God. He's depressed too. Hey, don't be depressed, sir. Trump won't be president forever. And to be frank, I don't think Donald Trump should treat that with hallucinogenics anyway. But if he did, would we even notice? If he took hallucinogenics, he'd be like, they're eating the cats and dogs. Right near my beautiful ballroom. By the way, did you know I'm Jesus?
It's been years since he's done anything that made me laugh. Trump, not Jon Stewart. But I mean, the point is a serious one. Like, what would shock anyone anymore? Like posting a picture of himself as Jesus, and instead of saying it was doctored, saying I meant I was a doctor. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're there.
Yeah. I don't want to roll the dice with Trump on mushrooms, so let's just not do that. I do think there's like an important difference between Rogan and Tucker that I think it's important to share. I do believe that Joe Rogan genuinely believes in the healing power of hallucinogenics, and I think that he thinks he's using his influence for good. Plenty to criticize Joe Rogan about. I think that continuing to nudge him along away from Trump is useful. Is he ever going to have the scales fall from his eyes and go full resistance? I don't think so, but I think there's something to be said for it. The Tucker thing is different and malicious, and it's malicious in all the ways that Angelo brought up, but it's malicious in one other way I just want to be clear about. Tucker is a liar and a fabulist, and a very convincing one, and he's very good. He's very good at podcasting. It's compelling. Like, if you watch it, he's entertaining. You can believe him. He's good at faking his feelings about things. But like, as you said, Nicole, we know from his private text, he said Trump was a demonic force. He saw everything clearly. This is all part of his game, like part of his modern day Father Coughlin gang, which is extremely pernicious. And he's trying to advance horrible views and ideologies into the public sphere. And so I'm begging people. I think there are certain cases where there are right-wing folks who are coming around on him and criticizing him, even Marjorie Taylor Greene at times, and certainly Thomas Massie and others, who it's worth elevating them. But if I had $1 for every person who's come up to me recently and said, you know, I just had to share this Tucker Carlson clip on Instagram because he was really making sense, and it's just public service announcement, don't do that. Don't do that. You're playing into his hands. Yes, he can be a compelling demagogue, but just because he happens to agree with us on the Iran war, does not mean that putting him into the feeds of people who are susceptible to persuasion is a good idea. PSA.